and pass the tea. I'm Sherry Poppins.
And I'm Angela Mansberry, and today we are breaking down episode It Doesn't Matter of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Episode 27 and a half. Woo! Yes.
Woo! We have 6 girls left, and this week the theme was a roast. Now, this has become a pretty much a standard for the show, but is always a challenge.
She's done it almost every season in some way or the other, yeah. Since like season 6.
Yeah, and this one was kind of fun because they had to roast 3 miscongenialities from previous seasons. We had Nina West, Heidi in Closet, and Valentina. Which, it was fun. So let's just jump into it. I mean, we have 6 queens left, so let's break down each of them one by one. So Rosé and Kandy got to choose the order, and quite a choice. They chose to go first and last.
Yeah, and you know, again, we've seen these roasts, right? We know that those are, like they said last night, the coveted spots to be, but they're also the most difficult spots to be in if you're not fucking funny. You know what I mean? And I think Kandy, I think they both wanted to open at first, right? And Kandy like stood her ground and she's like, nah, bitch, I'm opening. But I think that being said, Rosé was smart to then close.
Yes. And I thought they both did great jobs. And Kandy did such a smart job of going first, because then it was if anyone had repeated those jokes in the set, she said it first. So it really worked to her favor, I think.
Right. And we discussed that there were a couple of repeats. There was the rent joke with Valentina. I think there was a Michelle joke that was repeated at some point. So good on Kandy for that. And then I think Rosé also slayed it at the end. She was a good wrap up. So I think they kind of sandwiched the roast with the two, debatably the 2 funniest, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the middle. Let's talk about the cream of the Oreo, right?
Yes.
So,
a little double.
So, who went second? Who went after Kandy? Symone. Yeah, that's rough. Not her strongest week.
No, it was tough. And she kind of just, as soon as she started, it was kind of off to not a great start. It didn't quite land.
You knew you could hear the lack of confidence in her voice, right? She did a lot of ums and oohs and like things like that, and then like I hate when girls respond to the silence. Like there would be silence, and then she'd be like, "Ooh, okay, child," and I'm like, "No, ma'am, just like keep fucking going." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, this was not a great week for Symone. And then right after her, we had Olivia Lux. After this we had Utica.
Which, speaking of bad this week, like she made Symone kind of look funny in comparison. And the thing is, I think Utica could have been funny. She just rode that line on the wrong side of the line of like mean and funny. She was just mean.
It was just mean, and none of it landed. None of it. The way that a roast, I think, works is you're mean, but they're in on the joke. This kind of felt like they were on the outside of the joke looking in, and so it just wasn't very funny.
Girl, you know it was rough when Lonnie Love was like, girl, you're bombing!
Yeah, you're the one bombing, girl. And we have to talk about the iconic RuPaul moment when Utica says, RuPaul, you're such a fashion icon. Can you stand up from behind the booth? And of course, everyone thinks, as they're filming this, that RuPaul's no way still in full drag from the waist down, because why would you be? I'm not in drag from the waist down. I don't blame her.
Right. I am bare-legged right now. Yeah, so that was funny. She flipped Utica off probably like 3 times and then did a suggestive, which I imagine was something like this, some sort of suggestive action to her that they had a blur out. So that was a Drag Race story.
Yeah.
And then we had Gottmik, and she was, right? Is that who was next?
Yes, Gottmik was next, and Gottmik did a very good job. Gottmik is very funny without even trying to be.
Yeah.
She's just funny.
She surprised me. She like leaned into it with Snatch Game, but we were thinking, oh, maybe that's just because it's character work. But no, like Mick is genuinely like sharp, and I think it's her deadpan voice that gives that like fun delivery, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's that kind of Beverly Hills, like, oh my God. But it lands and it's funny.
Yeah, it's that Valor Girl funny moment. So she did great, which I was very pleasantly surprised by. And then
we had Olivia.
Olivia.
This was probably the biggest challenge for Olivia because Olivia has this personality of just being so kind and nice and it was very one note for me. I mean, she had a few funny lines in there, but it was very flat for me.
She tried leaning into she tried listening to the critiques, right? They were like, use your sweetness to stab them. I could see that she made the effort, which I nodded and was like, all right, girl, at least you're listening. But it still wasn't a good one for Olivia. But I don't think anyone expected Olivia to be good at a roast.
No, so I guess when we get to our bottom two of this week, we had Symone and we had Utica. And we all knew going into this lip sync, Symone ain't going home.
Symone has 4 wins under her belt. If they were to send her home to Utica, who like right now with Olivia is kind of like floating towards the bottom of the pack, like that would have just canceled the show.
Yeah.
That would have broken the internet. So they lip sync. Utica is inevitably sent home, though I will say she put up a decent fight. And that was it.
Yeah,
and Symone lives to see another day.
And I guess we do have to say that Utica did issue an apology after her roast.
She did. She issued a public apology.
Which I think might have been necessary. I mean, it just didn't work and it definitely crossed the line. And she's always so worried about being offensive that I understood why she made that announcement.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a rough one for her, for sure.
Yeah, especially with how toxic the fandom can be. I think it was smart of her to issue an apology. But she's gone. So now there's only 5. We're so close. We have one more episode and then it's the reunion and then the finale. Like, who would have thought this season would be coming to an end? And here we are.
Never.
And here we are.
Well, and of course,
you will catch us every Sunday for the next few Sundays here at Pass the Tea. My name is Sherry Poppins.
And I am Angela Mansberry. Thank you so much for joining us. Back
Cheers,
to you,
girl.
Anchor. Cheers.
Girl, that's hot.